about how prehistoric the Derby City Classic results are to find. Jim, you want to start ranting?
I don't know because I just couldn't find anything. I could find the Bigfoot was easy to find, and the rest is just crazy. I understand. The bank pool is a bit funny. You've got a second life. You can rebuy in. But I'm purely reliant on people like Melina Mike and other people who are there
Dunsky
bringing
Dungeon.
updates of the scores and who's left in the tournament. I mean, there was no way in the world I could use the website to figure out who the last six were. Absolutely no chance in the world I was going to be able to do that.
So Panozzo,
ridiculous.
Yeah, Panozzo, you've been covering this industry for a long time. Has it always been this bad for Derby, or is it just like it's always been this bad and we just only care about it the last few years because pool is progressing?
What Derby focuses on and is the people who are there right now to find out when they have to play their next match. I mean, there's no such thing as brackets because of the weird buyback situation. So there's never anything like a bracket. So, and then just being able to find scores. Now, after the event's over, in past years, I've been able to go to their website and find a breakdown of each, round. Sometimes the round will have 6 matches and the next round will have 8 and the next round will have 5 just because of their whole buyback system. So it's just really weird. So it's just this long running list. I have found it in the past. I have not really looked for it this year, so I don't know that they're not doing it. But, I have been able to find information in the past. It's always been a struggle.
I've been trying to find it. I couldn't do it.
I think the other thing that's relatively archaic about it is, well, not relatively, it is that there's, 4 matches, maybe 5 matches a day that you can see as they happen. And that's it. And they've got 30-some tables with matches going all day, all night, great matches, 1 pocket here, 9 ball there, bank pool here. You can't see any of it because all of their connection, as far as rights go, are to Pat and AccuStats for the arena. And, I understand you don't want to lose revenue on AccuStats in the arena, but there should be some way to show a few other matches as they're going on during this event without, jeopardizing his ability to sell, streaming things. But, I think the streaming people are always going to want to see what's on the big table. They're all matched up. The best players, the finals are all on the AccuStats table. So to show a couple of matches a day on side tables, I don't think is that much more tradition. And that we're watching, like I said, maybe 4 matches a day.
Yeah.
When you count how many matches there are over 10 days of Derby with the different divisions, is really kind of it's too bad, and it really is kind of a head scratcher for me.
Yeah. When I was out at the Karam Cafe in New York in 2017, Kazoom was out there doing the streaming and the TV work and stuff. And what I was so impressed with there at this event, that you could be anywhere in the whole billiard room, any single place. And there was a very large screen. And on that screen, there were 10 individual boxes for 10 tables. And you could watch every single match in that room by sitting in one chair looking at one screen. Not to mention the main table where they had the semifinals and the finals. That was in a little different area, but this was throughout the whole tournament. And if you paid to get that Zoom, you could watch any player who was playing at any given time. So 20 players at a time. There were 10 tables, and there's no reason that can't be done. Their reasoning, and people on the comments did comment on this. I've been watching, and the comments are, there's a large number that are saying asking the same question. Why can I only see 4 or 5 matches a day for $100? Mm-hmm. I should be, there's a lot of matches going on. Why can't I? Their answer to that was, we weren't willing to pay the additional $8,000 that would have cost to do that. That's what the webmaster answered on the comments about why. That's how
But
much
it's
it
all
would
about
have been.
investing. You've got to invest a little bit more. I mean, they're 8,000. You can charge. They were charging like $80 in the early bird thing. So that's like 100 people that need to cover that. Now, you got to, if you. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Rookie move. Are you kidding me?
If you've got 30 tables going on there and you're buying in to have any table you want, you know you're going to get to watch your guy every single time. You know, if you've got to select 5 or 6 players that you like watching, you're going to get to see them all day long. Fuck off. And
well, there goes monetization on this podcast. That bad word.
And so you can charge more than your $80. So you're going to get that money back. You've got to invest into it. The Kazum system is very, very good. They have a main hub, and then at every single table they've got one camera and a laptop. The laptop is used for putting your scores in. It's used for everything, and you've got the camera there. And as you're watching Kazum, you log in with your account details, and you have a list of all the tables that are being played, the current scores, who's playing. You just click on it, and that's the table that you watch. Perfect. Now, this is not I mean, for people that are a bit tech savvy, this is nothing major to actually achieve. It's a very simple camera that's in front of each table. You can charge a lot more for that, and people will be happy to do that for an entire event. What Kazum do is you have a yearly subscription. So you pay a little bit more, but you've got it for the entire year. So you get the European Championships, you get all the Euro Tours, you get the Seniors European Championships, the Youth European Championships. You're covered for the entire year to watch pool as much as you want. As a player yourself, all your details for all the matches that you play in are put into your account as well. So you also have the ability to go back and rewatch all your own matches. So I, as a player, I have a Kazum account that gives me access to watch anything I want, and I have my own box within their system that has all my matches, all my details on. Nice. So it's a really good system they have. So for guys that go and play any of these tournaments, people will pay more to have that kind of flexibility. And then you put one of your tables on as a freebie for Facebook and say, this is, we're putting this match on Facebook for this. And then people say, oh, I like this. How do I get a part of this? And you're selling it while you're using it. And every so often you put a free match on out there. It makes sense. What they're doing now is these are the comments that I hear all the time. Why are we only getting one table? I don't want to see these two guys play. And I didn't pay to watch these two guys playing their matches. I want to see. And they say they should get Shane on the table. They should get. Why is Jason always on? They should get.
Yeah, the matches at
one table.
Casino
it's Neanderthal. One table at a big tournament is just Neanderthal production, in my opinion. Now,
certainly, certainly there should be no reason you can't go to a couple of other tables while they're racking or while they're doing something. I think AccuStats is one of the best in the industry, right? I mean, it's, as far as the streamers, you take out as far as just strictly streamers, you're talking Pool Action TV, you're talking Railbirds, you're talking AccuStats. I mean, as far as that category of streamers, it's about the best of the best. But when have you seen anything new that's been incorporated? Even if you look at the graphics, their graphics just look like they're straight out of 1985. Mike, you can talk to this better than I can. When was the last time you saw them update any of their graphics?
It's been a while. All the signage logos, a little dated for sure.
You got to update it. You just got to.
They did a nice job this past year at the Invitational Open. They had multiple tables. They had the scores on above all the tables, all that. So I'm not sure how much more, not like you would have had to do all 30-something tables at Derby, but do a half dozen extra or whatever they are. And you're not going to have announcing on them and that type of thing. I understand that. And we went through this at the U.S. Open, right? With Mantrum. They had their arena table and they had all these fantastic matches on other table. And after a while, they were showing one secondary table with no commentating. And that was okay, but it was a little bit, couldn't see what the score was on that table.
Okay, but they reacted to the comments and they did it. And I'm quite sure the second table will be much better at the next events that they do. And maybe there'll be then a third table. You would hope so that they will grow with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay Steger, I'm sorry, I don't know his first name. Jay Steger just commented here that the Shane Van Boning match, there was 995 people watching. So that's almost 80,000 minimum if people did all the early ones. That's 80,000.
They bought the whole week's package.
Well, that assumes.
But
I bought a one-day pass.
That's 80,000. So 8,000 to put up extra cameras is not a lot, really. They're being a bit cheap by not paying the 8,000 to do it.
I agree with that, but I only bought a one-day pass. I mean, that could have been including mine. I'm only
sure,
I bought. Okay, so here I'll be completely honest. This is the first time that I've ever spent a nickel for AccuStats production. I've never spent a single nickel for any of their productions ever. And it's because I wanted to watch Mika and Jason, and it's because I wanted to watch the winner of that play, Fedor. That was I wanted to watch that. And I paid $16 for that. That is like, I'm not going to lie. Like, it doesn't even, the entire Mosconi Cup doesn't cost that much. Maybe it does. Maybe it's like $25 or whatever it is. $20. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? I just paid $16 for 2 matches. I get it. Like, AccuStats, you're the best of the best, whatever. I don't care about that. If you're charging people $100 for an X day event, and the Mosconi Cup is $20 for 4 days, that's $5. How do you think that your product is let's just say 3 times better than Matchrooms, that you can charge 3 times the price for a single day?
No, but Pat Fleming can't afford to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars like Matchroom can. So he's a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
They're bringing their revenues.
Charge what you think you have to charge to be able to manage the week. Pat Fleming's not charging $80 because he's going to take off next week with his wife and go to the Bahamas for 10 days.
Yes.
So he knows what his costs are. He knows what the budget is. He knows how tight things are. And if this is what he costs him to get in, then that's what he's got to charge. I mean, like I said, I don't think he's charging to get rich. So we don't know all the background of his cost and getting in there and setting up and what he's got to pay to have bandwidth, yada, yada, all the stuff that goes along with it. What he pays Derby for the rights, all that kind of stuff. So, it's easy to just like throw stones that he's making too much money and it's cost too much. I think he charges what he thinks he needs to charge to make back what he's invested into it. If that's too much for people, fine. My bigger issue is that, that it's still a one-table television tournament this many years into it. To me is kind of, find a broadcast partner to work with to do some of the side tables and have those free, but they only show the final 3 games of a tight match or something. Find some way to do it, but watching one match at a time 4 times a day.
Especially after you just showed us that you can do better with the International Open.
Yeah, we should be doing better than this.
Yeah. And Ed Ladawi said that you've also got like 8 to 12 staff members to run cameras and production equipment. Well, I'll tell you, Ed, Kazum do 32 tables with 4 guys, and you don't even see all 4 of them at the same time. They take breaks, they go and do their own thing. So, I mean, the system, it's not about the amount of people you have doing it. If the system is correct, it can be handled very, very easily.
Yeah, and there is a production there. I mean, I've worked with the same equipment because I've helped Ed with his events before. You do actually have to have somebody to run the cameras because they are actually like remote controlled. So you do got to have somebody at all times working the cameras. With that being said, is having somebody on staff at all times to do those cameras worth the hassle of having to have it, right? I mean, I think that I can't say this, and AccuStats is probably the best of the best when it comes to the standard streamers, but they price me out. I mean, and it's not because I can't afford $80 like that. I cannot justify paying $80 for something that it's not the best. Matchroom does way better, and of course I get the idea that it's blah blah blah. You have an entire team, blah blah blah. But like I just can't justify it. I cannot bring myself to spend that much money for something that's not the best. It's the best of all the standard streamers, but like I can't justify paying it. And I did for one day because I really wanted to watch the finals of the Bigfoot, and like I'm sitting there watching it, and like I'm just like, what?
See, I don't know if I would pay for it. I don't, because I'm asleep when when it's all happening, kind of thing, you know. I would, yeah, it's just bad timing for me, you know.
Right.
So I don't. If it was during the day for me, would I pay that amount for it? If I was going out, it would probably be the Derby, because you know you've got a lot of different stuff going on there. But I mean, I would.
If you purchase the full amount, you can go back and watch for up until the end of March, I believe.
Exactly. You can go back and watch matches
have.
from the International Open and stuff like that. I certainly wouldn't be paying money to watch some of the streams that I see that it's basically all you can see is this big, bright green blob in the middle of your screen that's the table, and everything around it is pitch black because they're using a GoPro or whatever, or some Logitech C920 camera that they've just taken across. I wouldn't be paying for those streams, but...
Were you dogging on my webcam right now?
No, yours is fine because yours is being used for what it's supposed to be used for, you know. But yeah, some of the streams that you see that people are charging for. I mean, it's at least the AccuStats that it looks like a proper setup, you know, and it's well lit. They've got the lighting correct. They're using good quality cameras, and they've got a proper commentary team in there. Some very good commentators, some better than others. So
I love hearing Mark Wilson. I will say that I love hearing Mark Wilson.
And they have a good production. It's just a shame that it's limited to one table.
Yeah. And before we get going on, I do want to give a couple shout outs here. Eves, thank you very much for sending the stars, as well as Jamie Bird. Thank you both very much for the stars for the video. And I guess going back, like for anybody who listens to the podcast for a long time, you know that I'm not a biggest fan of the Derby City Classic.
No.
I know, right? I personally don't really like the gambling aspect of pool. I don't think that that's the future of it. Do I think it shouldn't be here? No. But do I think that we need, like the US, we push the gambling side of things way more than we push the tournament side of things. And the Europeans, they push the tournament and they barely even gamble at all. So like, I mean, we can look at this right now. We have an all-European final in the Bigfoot. We had an all-European final in the bank pool, and bank pools is like something the U.S. is known for, not quite as much as the one pocket, but I mean, we're still known for our bank pool.
First European win ever. Yep.
Yep. I mean, we're talking, I mean, there is a changing of the guard. Like the U.S. players are just not even close to being competitive anymore. So when you look at that, I mean, at the end of the day, the U.S. is completely being surpassed. And I'm not saying it's because of our gambling culture. There are a ton of reasons that go into it. But we value gambling more so than we value tournament play, in my opinion. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to just torture us when it comes to competing in these events. And I look at the Derby City Classic as being like the biggest gambling tournament in the world, where, like, yes, you're going there to play in a tournament, but really you're there for the action. You're there for the atmosphere. You're there to, you know, whoever wins the tournament, they're not going to, at least historically, they're not going to win nearly as much as what they're going to win in the back rooms at 5 a.m. playing on a stream, right? I mean, that's really where the money has historically been at the Derby City Classic. And I don't know. I guess for that reason alone, I don't really like the Derby City Classic. It's a lot of people ask me why I don't go to it or why I haven't been to it. And I mean, that's basically the reason. I mean, I had reasons to go if I wanted to, but I just don't like the idea of it. I want to see us push more tournament, like real tournament play, and try to catch up to the Europeans. But I don't know. Mike, what do you think of I guess my stance on the Derby?
Well, you know, I like uniqueness in events. There's nothing like the Derby, and I think players know that when they go there. You know, as far as, is it an indictment on American players? I don't know. You just mentioned like 9 European players who are there for 10 days straight playing the same tournaments, doing the same thing, gambling at night, playing all day. You know, their games play better too. So I don't think the Derby City is the biggest problem in American pool. You know, it's a free for all. It's 24 hours. You know, you stay there 6-7 days. I usually only go for the last 3 days. By the time I get there, you know, most of these players look
zombies.
Like they're a disaster. They haven't slept at all. They don't know what game they're playing next. They have to go to one table and play 9 ball, and rush over here and play one pocket. But that's kind of the weird charm about it a little bit too. It's just kind of this crazy, you know, circus of events. And you know, would I like to see a tour of these? No, absolutely not. But once a year, they do something completely that nobody else does. This is the way they like to do it. If nobody wants to show up, nobody has to show up. You know what they get? Instead, they have 5 divisions where they get 400 plus players. So, you can't say that they're doing it wrong.
Oh, I'm not going to claim that they're doing it wrong. I think that they're fitting exactly into what American culture needs for a pool tournament. Like, I just don't agree that we should be pushing that side of it. I guess,
think
Jim,
it's
what do you,
great
as a European?
for
Oh,
a
Rob,
couple
go ahead.
reasons. Number one reason is because there's so many different events in one event. Come on. You got the banks, you got the one pocket, you got the 9-ball, you got the Bigfoot. And they added this other thing that I'm not so sure I'm on board with, this speed pool kind of a thing that they did that I'm scratching my head. They had this Charlie Bryant who can crack the balls at 30 miles an hour. And then you got your 3 best pool players in the world who don't try to hit it hard. And they were just showing us what this speed demon analyzer could do. I think that was kind of funny. I didn't care for that too much. But as far as Derby offering a spectator rate of so much to watch every single event, or you can get into an event for like $20 more or $40 more and actually play in it, and then you can watch any event you want the whole time you're there. That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing for all the amateurs that want to go. It's a wonderful thing if you're an amateur just wants to have one chance in 100 to get your name drawn and play Efren Reyes or play Shane Van Boning or play Jason Shaw. If you're lucky, you get your name drawn and played for your $140. I just talked to a couple guys that said that would be priceless. I don't know what I would pay for an opportunity to play any one of those guys, any one of those games in a tournament. So that's why I like Derby. It gives that everyday player a chance to jump in the ring for not a lot of money and play some great player if you're lucky enough to.
Jim?
Yeah. On the speed, before I go into the Derby, on the speed, see, he's getting it the same. On the speed demon thing, I mean, call me skeptical if you want. I mean, that was all very nice to see these guys cracking it. But that was self-promotion, basically. They have a system which I'm quite sure they will be pushing for major events to use instead of the forceful break rule. If they've got a system that's really, 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 really accurate, that can be trusted and can be implemented very easy into big tournaments like Matchroom tournaments or the Predator Pro Series to make sure that the break is getting hit within a buffer of forcefulness, then that's probably something that I would say that if it was my system, that's something I would be trying to push and advertise to say, listen, this is something that can be used in the future. As far as guys just trying to hit as hard as they can, who cares how hard if Jeff Drolino was there, they just smashed everybody out of the water. So it wouldn't even have been worthwhile. Well,
if Charlie, no, I'm telling you, if Charlie Bryant was swinging the way he I'm sure he was trying as hard as he possibly could, but Charlie Bryant hits the rack harder than Jeff ever could. I mean, Charlie actually hits the ball.
I don't know. And actually, I don't really think it's very important. I don't care. It's nice to see.
No, it's not.
Who cares for a couple of miles an hour? But as far as the Derby goes, the Derby's a tradition, and it's a bit old school. It reminds people of the Colour of Money and stuff like that. There's a tournament going on, there's people gambling in the back, and you drop your match in the tournament so you can go and play a big money game that you've been challenged or whatever, and it's all about getting out there with a little bit more money than you came in with. It's that's what it is. You have both sides. You have the gamblers there, you have the proper professionals there. You've got people who concentrate on the tournament side that want to get themselves up on the banner for next year. They want to get themselves in history there. And you've got other guys who just want to go there and help out their backers and make a little bit of money or whatever. I don't have a big issue with it because it's just one tournament, and like I said, it's a bit of a tradition. It still has a place within. I'll agree within US pool. I don't think it's such a big thing. I don't think it's something that would translate the same if you did it over here in Europe or in Asia or something like that. I don't think it's really the kind of thing that people care about. But it has a place in US pool, and I got nothing against it because the pro tournaments are still a big tournament. And it's still a big deal to win that Derby City, the Derby City 9-ball is still a big deal. It's still one of the big events on the calendar.
Yeah. And for any one of the events. It's a big deal.
You ask these specialists, these one pocket specialists and these bank specialists, what's the biggest event of your year? They'll say the Derby City.
Yeah.
The one pocket players, that's their big event. The bank pool players, that's their big event.
Yeah.
Buffalo's.
So it's still a massive event for these guys, so it still has a place, it still has an importance. And yeah, I mean,
that bank final was spectacular.
Yeah, and like Mike said, if you're getting 450 guys in there every single time, really, you want to scrap that because there's guys in the back that are gambling? Yeah, I think it's, again, and it goes back to, I think it's such a big event. It's a shame that we only get to see one table.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah, because it's a massive, massive event. Everybody's there, Everybody's there. There's nobody that isn't there. Everybody that can
That was
travel
probably the number one complaint in the comments out of all of them. Maybe
so I think it's got a place.
The complaints, that was it.
Yeah. I'm with Nate on it. I'm not big on the whole gambling side of it, but for the Derby City, I got no problem with that. I think that's what the Derby City is, and it has a place. Well, it's a tradition. It's old school.
I would love to see. I mean, I guess, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the event. I don't think it's a bad event. It's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea. But I mean, there's things that I think that could make it amazing, and that I would, love to go and be a part of someday. One of them is, just clean up the event. I mean, like you said, just throw a couple. There's 30 something tables. There's no reason that you can't have. I mean, even if Ed Ladawi does this amazing with the NBL. I mean, he crushed it with this. Every single one of his tables was streamed every single second of the tournament, and you could tune into anyone that you ever wanted to watch in your entire life. Why can't you just, even if it's a crappy little, even if it's a $200 camera, whatever it is, just throw it up there. If people want to sacrifice good quality to watch one stream, let them. And if their dad is playing, or their cousin is playing, their favorite player from their hometown, like Rob said, one of the players from his backwoods is playing down there, and he's in the 5th round of the one pocket. I'm sure Rob would love to be able to watch that match. I don't even care. Throw up a little Logitech C790, whatever it is. Throw it up on that table and just give people the opportunity to sacrifice quality and watch the table, even if it's just for a single match. Like, you just can't have one pool table in this day and age being streamed. I don't care if it's the greatest quality anybody's ever seen for anything in the history of forever. You just cannot do that with the advances in technology that we've had. You just cannot be pointing one camera, 2 cameras, 5 cameras at one pool table. You got to branch out and make it more accessible. If they did that, I would hope they will. I hope they will. That would be amazing. If they could do that, that would be amazing.
Somebody reads the comments. So
yeah, if you are only going to have one table, be aware that one table is your only way of promoting the sport. Okay, you're there to provide a product for the people who have paid, but you're also responsible for promoting the sport in the correct way. You've put on this production, you've got your sponsors all up there and everything, and it's looking great, and you're putting it out there. And then I looked on Facebook and I saw somebody posting next match on. Not going to mention the names. 2 guys playing each other. Banks, 2 well-known bank players of an elder generation, and it looked like 2 tramps that had just met in the bar. Really, a pair of slippers on, old sagging jeans that were all rubbed out. The jeans were all worn, and an old sweater and a baseball cap. And I thought, well, you've got one table. I know these guys are seen as being kind of legends, or really, big names within the pool circuit. They're now going to be on your one table, your one stream, your one mode of promoting this event. It's going to be these 2 guys looking like anything except you can only tell it's a pool player because they've got a cue in their hand and there's a table in front of them. That's it. I mean, it just looked like 2 guys that have come out off the street. And for me, yes, have one table, but put people on there that look like they're taking it seriously and are actually professional sportsmen, not 2 guys that are just ramming balls around.
One of the problems
it's just a shame. It's just
when I was in Tucson watching the streams, they had 8 billiard tables at the Casino del Sol, And 2 of those tables were the stream tables set up just for the streaming. And they couldn't announce in advance who the players were going to be on those tables because they just didn't know. If you've got the next table up is your table, then that's where you go. And if it's not a stream table, you don't go on a stream table. There was one player there, and I think I mentioned his name before, Tom Rossman, who's a big promoter of the game, pocket billiards and everything. And I think he was on like 5 streams because his match just happened to come up at that time where he was able to be on a stream. And that kind of does happen that way. I was on one stream on one table for one match, and I can't find it anywhere. I can't go back and look and see if that's on there. But Tom could, because he was on 5 matches, and at least 3 of those are in the archives someplace to be taped. So it's kind of like the luck of the draw a lot of times in these tournaments. And yes, I'm all on the side of having more access to the tables being streamed for the public, for sure.
Yeah.
For
if
everybody's benefit, everybody's welfare.
Yeah, and I get the idea that you want to have exclusivity to the event. So Pool Action TV only gets the gambling room, and AccuStats gets the tournament floor, and blah blah. Find a way to have it set up to where, okay, AccuStats pays $10 for the rights to the event. Why can't AccuStats then take that $10 and say, all right, Railbirds, you can have 2 tables for $2, and name another streaming, even Pool Action TV, you can have a table for $1, whatever it is. Like, sell out some of your rights to some of these other tables if you have to, and let them help cover your costs for the exclusivity tour. And then, why can't you do that? Or just divvy up? I just don't understand how
we'd all have to work together.
Just work together and split the pot. I mean,
that works too. I mean, if you want to have one person that does it, then great. But like, I just hate the idea that we in 2022 we cannot find a way to stream more than one table at the 3rd biggest U.S. event of the year, 2nd biggest. I mean, International Open, or the Derby City Classics is number 2. We can only find a way to stream one pool table out of 30 something.
Well, we're doing our job. We're talking about it. And that's what needs to happen. This needs to be a discussion that we need to have.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it's got to be done. So, I guess, do we want to jump into the actual event now?
One thing I was going to mention was it's going to be interesting to see. I know 60 Minutes was there filming.
Yes.
For a segment
Jason.
they're doing. It's going to be interesting to see what they make pool look like after 3 or 4 days at the Derby City.
Yeah. Let's hope they didn't spend all the time in the action room.
No, I think they were following around some of the pros. A couple of the European guys, Shane, obviously.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see, but it's going to be interesting to see how they portray the game.
Yeah, the commentators were talking about that. That 60 Minutes is here now, and they showed up a few times during a few different matches.
It's what we want: mainstream media to get involved and to give us a bit of a boost. So,
okay, you guys ready for this? You ready for our controversial segment of the day? Here we go. Ready?
Oh, we haven't had it already?
No.
Well,
this is it. All right.
Warmed up, Rob.
Yeah. We're just so, am I wrong? But I guess before I even say this, am I wrong in saying that 60 Minutes was there mostly because of Jason Shaw and
714? I think. Yeah.
714, right? That's most of the reason.
No,
that's not.
No,
that's what
I'm wrong on that.
That's
what I heard too.
I believe so. I think talking to Jay Helper, they've been talking with 60 Minutes for a while. This was all before Jason ran 714. They were dialed in to go there before he ran 714.
Okay, so then I don't have to be controversial.
I think
in part because
their primary
network.
I think their primary subject is going to be Shane. I believe they're actually going to South Dakota after Derby.
Okay, so then I got.
Yeah, I liked how when they introduced Shane, he said he was from Minnesota. That was real cool. The announcer on the stream table. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Who was You're kidding, Rob.
No,
right?
I'm not kidding.
Who was the
I
commentator?
think he was joking. I don't know, but I'm not kidding.
You don't.
The South Dakota
No.
kid from Minnesota somewhere. Yeah. No, I'm not kidding you. Yeah.
Sounds like something you'd say, Nate.
Was it? No, hold on.
Well, if you saw the movie Fargo, it was pretty much Minnesota and South Dakota are the same place.
Pretty much are.
Was this an actual commentator or was this the hype man?
The announcer, the guy walking around the table with the microphone.
Yeah, the hype man. Yeah, like
the hype man,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know who
one
that.
of the commentators. It was the hype man.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy was, and I'm not trying to like throw him under the bus or anything like that. But watching him try to MC the break speed thing was painful. I mean, it was high. Like I don't know who he is. Like, Mike, you know who he was?
If it's Derek, that's Mark Wilson's wife's son, Derek Hacks.
He's a taller guy, maybe like bald.
Bald, yeah.
Yeah, kind of baldish.
Yeah.
Okay, so I honestly I don't really.
I thought
I don't
tried
know
hard.
what's his role.
Overall. Made that one little blunder. That's all. A small little thing.
I mean,
Shane was laughing about it. Really,
he's done some radio work, and I believe he's actually a politician in that Southern Illinois, St. Louis area as well. And so he's a nice guy and pretty glib and whatever. So they said let him take a shot at it. So
yeah, in the most part,
happens. People make mistakes. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it's only Shane.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like he's one of the
I don't know why they had that speed pool thing in the first place.
Well, I'm assuming that was to hype whatever that app was, but Predator Speed App 2.0.
Yeah.
And it's from the same creator, so I mean, whatever. But like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because like, I don't know that if that really actually happened and he said the South Dakota kid, or even if he just said like Shane Van Boning was from Minnesota. I mean, like, this is like the perfect thing of why Poole is always shooting himself. It's always shooting itself in the foot. Like, if you want to be a hype man, like, great, that's awesome. We need them, but like, you got to do your research. You got to do your homework. You got to know who the actual people are, or just don't say anything.
They trip up. I mean, I've seen
it. That's all.
I mean, there was a guy that kept calling Fedor Ghost when he was interviewing him. Oh. Fedor Ghost.
Was it the same guy?
Fedor. No, it was
Fedor
Fedor Ghost. Yeah, kept calling him. Okay.
Well, Nate, I know that you have spent a lot of time working on names ever since the COVID, stuff and all the VG events and all that stuff. You've spent some time on names, so that
how many times have you got Oliver Snolgocki's name wrong?
0 for like the last forever since I said he was going to be the next best thing.
Who, Conrad?
He got himself in the Predator Champions League, or whatever it's called.
No,
top 12. Yeah.
No, I've made two like really bold proclamations on the podcast. Well, I said 3 years ago. I said Aloysius Yap is going to be the next. I said he was going to be the next big thing. I said he was going to be the number 1 rated player in the world in 1 year. It took him about a year and a half, and I don't know if he still is number 1, but it kind of depends on what you actually use as rankings, right? And my new one is that Oliver Solnaki is going to be, Sholnaki is going to be a top 3 pool player in the world in 3 years. That's my prediction.
All right.
You heard it here first. But that was like 6 months ago or something like that.
That was like 5 years ago.
I didn't even know who he was a year ago. So don't even start with that. I'd never even heard of his name a year ago.
A handful of really good players got to retire in the next 3 years.
A lot of really good players. Yeah.
I'm
a lot
telling you,
of really good kids have got to give up and do something else.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, I've spent a little bit of time around Oliver, and like the focus, the dedication, I'm telling you, like, I see something special there. I'm just saying that. I just see something special there. Like I see in him what I also see in Fedor. Like the level of focus and drive and unwillingness to ever play or ever take the game not serious for 1 second. Like I see that level of focus in Oliver, just like I see it in Fedor. Now, I don't know, like I said, I'm just saying.
I'm not.
Okay.
Maybe in 2 years I'll be an idiot, but I'm just saying I see that in Oliver, and I think he's going to be a really, really,
maybe in
really,
two-
really,
maybe in
really
2
good player.
years you'll still be an idiot.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'm just saying I got Aloysius Yap right 3 years ago. I called that one, didn't I?
You did.
Ed's got a comment on here that is poignant at least. And he said that CBS was interviewing Shane and Jason mostly. But in the background, while they're interviewing him, they can hear shouting and cursing and arguing and death threats and all kinds of other things in this action room during some matches. And the CBS crew was in shock over that whole thing. And the producer on that section actually loved it and said, "This is great." And so now
Why wouldn't
we
he?
got what Mike was talking about here. We got one step forward and about 10 backwards.
Now this is this is a perfect example of what I've been saying.
It's going to fit.
For a
it's
while.
going to fit perfectly into the U.S. stereotype of pool already. Why wouldn't they love it?
So, it's a perfect example of something I said a while ago. There needs to be somebody, an agent, needs to get hold of a group of players and school them on how to do proper media duties and how to present themselves properly.
I suspect that this wasn't Shane or Jason, though. I suspect it was somebody else in the background.
It doesn't matter who it is. You have this person who has this pool of people, and then if you have somebody like 60 Minutes that comes along, you approach them and say, okay, I have this group of players. I can give you a selection of these guys throughout your time here, and they know how to conduct interviews. They know how to act properly. They know, and you then present the game properly, rather than just letting these people come around and then all of a sudden they enter one of the action rooms at the Derby and they see all this kicking off and they think it's fantastic, but it's actually not what we really want them to be seeing. And we don't want this to be portrayed on national television.
So what do you do? I mean, if you're going to allow amateurs in,
but be a little bit sensible and protect your own.
It's a room full of 30 plus tables. How do you just say, all right, all you people right there, you and you're banned from the room for 3 hours while 60 Minutes is here. You need to leave right now and just keep 50 people there.
You don't let 60 Minutes into that room. You let them into the professional room, the professional arena, and interview.
There is no professional arena. It's all one room.
Yeah, but you can you take them to the main table where there's proper players playing. You usher them around and make sure that they're kept away from any of that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean,
it can't be that difficult to do.
If it's true what they're saying about the shouting and the arguing and the death threats and stuff like that, I mean that's going to travel, right? I mean, it's not like if it's all in one room. I mean, how can you possibly segregate it out to like just one little area? I mean, if there's a giant commotion,
same area.
The action room's not in the main area. It's a closed off area.
Ed Ladowie didn't say it was in the gambling area.
He just said it was part of.
He also didn't say it was in the main area.
In an action match. So I assume that's in the action room.
Yeah, maybe.
Action match.
Possible.
They're not going to be playing an action match on one of the tournament tables, are they?
I think Jim's got a good point, but it's two separate things. I mean, the pool world is the pool world, and it's never going to change. Can you take a professional circuit and educate 60 players, 32 players to look right, say the right things, be the pro tour? But you're not going to eliminate this other part of the game. And you're not going to tell CBS what room they can go into, a room what they can't. They're going to look for whatever they think is compelling television, fun television to watch, something that shows the underbelly and the upper side, whatever they want to do. So you can't control the message to that extent. And we just have to get used to that. And Derby is that combination of, they've got the arena with the top players playing on a 10-foot table, and 60 feet away, they got two guys punching each other in an action room over a $30 match. So this is the hand we're dealt. You just have to learn how to play both sides and find professionalism in your professional side, and that's the way you're going to portray that. That's part of, I'm sure, the whole long-term plan of what this whole matchroom ranking system and getting these tournaments together and creating something that's kind of a tour. Then you can insulate that group of players and that perception of the game, but you're not going to make the rest of the pool go away.
No.
And of course, at the end of the day, every single sport has it, right? I mean, every single sport has its dark side per se. But
Yeah.
the problem is the U.S. public looks at all of pool in a negative light. I mean, it looks at it as like a hustler sport, shady, people having their thumbs broken. And if like I get what you're saying, Jim, I just don't. What if 60 minutes says, all right, we want to go look at the side rooms? You're just going to say no, you can't go? Like I just don't understand how you tell them that they can only have access to a certain part of it when they're there to highlight what we're doing. I just don't understand how you police that.
Yeah, but you have a contract with them to come and cover the professional side of the game. They have a contract to interview certain players. They don't have a contract to go and speak to other players.
And then
I don't know if there's a contract at all. Why would there be a contract?
Because you're allowing them into your venue. It's the same as anyone else. You go into the venue, you're under certain restrictions as to how you behave and what you do. You can always turn around and say, okay, yeah, you can come into this room, but you're not allowed the cameras on. The event is owned, and if people press want to come in, I mean, technically you're not allowed to be filming. You could be stopped from filming on your phone at these events because it's not your content to be sharing. If you go to a sporting event, a basketball match, and you start live streaming that match through your own equipment, you're going to get shut down. You're not allowed to. In a professional sporting environment, you're restricted to what you can film and what you can live stream. Now, the fact that people are allowed to just hold their telephone up and say and go Facebook Live and say, "Oh, one pocket match between," yes, they're being allowed to do it, but there's nothing. They could also be told, "Hey, turn your camera off. You're not allowed. It's not yours to share."
Yeah, and Matchroom does that. I guess
there's copyright limitations to these kind of things, and with press and with filming in an event like that, there's always somebody who has the right to turn around and say, CBS, no filming in this room. Always.
Yeah,
the fact
I don't
that
know.
They don't do it.
Yeah, you know what I've seen in the last 4 years? I started playing three cushion 4 years ago. And even in regional events, I would go to Illinois and play in a Rushville event every year for 4 years. There was a dress code there for three cushion billiards. You had to wear a vest, a tie, a bow tie, a clean shirt, black pants, and dress shoes. That was your attire, and that was the least of that you could wear to be dressed up. Well, I've noticed now in the last 4 years that even in three cushion billiards, that dress code has been kind of subdued. And now in the last year, now it's pretty much just a clean pair of pants or, and not shabby looking, but certainly not dressed up in a bow tie and a vest. And that, although some fellas still are dressing that way at these events, most are not. So that actually was one of the few things when I first started playing three cushion that I was impressed with. That here's an event where everybody is dressed up. Everybody looks very professional here. And now that's even changing a little bit in the three cushion world. That concerns me somewhat. And I'm not saying that the people have changed. They're still wonderful people that I've met in the game. Including pocket pool. I've met some very wonderful people in the game. But the dress part of it, most tournaments, more state tournaments, like the BCA, always had a dress code. Always did. You had to be having a collared shirt. You had to have a nice pair of pants and shoe. You couldn't be shabby. You couldn't wear shorts. You couldn't wear a T-shirt. You couldn't do any of this. And now that also is changing a little bit to become more casual. And that to me means less professional. And I don't care for that part of it. I'm not happy with that when I see that changing.
I completely agree. With that. You don't see it over here in Europe. Tournaments like I said, the Derby City Classic is one of the big tournaments on the American circuit. A big tournament like that, you wouldn't get that anywhere else. Baseball caps and shorts and flip flops and stuff like that. It baffles me. And in Europe, you would just be told, sorry, I don't care who you are, you're not playing. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You're just not playing. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with Ken in the comments. I don't think that suits and ties are necessary, but I would like to see polos and sports jerseys and proper stuff like that. I don't think that we need to have shorts and t-shirts.
There is a recognized professional dress code for pool players. Pair of slacks, black shoes, and your club shirt, even if it's just your local club shirt or your own personalized shirt or whatever, even if it's just a black or a dark or just a plain colored shirt, I mean, it's not a t-shirt with Hugo Boss and a pair of ripped jeans and a pair of flip-flops and a baseball cap. That's not acceptable to play in a tournament like this. Just yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, Nate, where to now, buddy?
All right, let's move on to, I guess, the Bigfoot. Finishes out. Joshua Filler wins over Fedor Gorst, and I mean, unfortunately for Fedor, he probably played his worst set in the finals. I mean, he played, lights out. I mean, he has over 900 every single one of his matches, and actually, I don't think Josh played anywhere close to his best game in the entire tournament, and still
Josh made more mistakes than Fedor did in the final.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm not saying like Fedor or Josh played bad, but that's not his top gear, and that's still good enough to win the tournament. So that just shows how crazy of a talent that he is. I mean, it's insane. Mika Immonen gets third place, tied with Jason Shaw. Again, Mika Immonen. I guess Mika Immonen showing that he's still there, and he's having a little second tier surge of his career. I love to see it. I mean, I love Mika. He's one of my favorite players growing up. I love watching him now. He's fiery. He's entertaining. I think at one point in time, the commentators, I think it was it Mark Wilson, said he doesn't even know how to hit a ball soft. No. And as he says that, he fires the 10 ball in like 6,000 miles an hour right into the back of the pocket.
I don't think Mika's had a ball roll off on him for about 30 years.
Yeah, right. I mean, he hits the balls so damn hard that like the back of the pocket says ouch when it hits it. It's crazy.
It looked to me like these players were almost more comfortable on that 10-foot table than they would be on a 9-foot table. The areas of the table where they were playing the cue ball, it can roll a little further one way or another, and you still have that same nice angle that you need on that bigger table. They were pretty comfortable with that. I saw speed control that was flawless from those players. Shaw and Filler and Gorst too. They're just and Mika too. Their speed control was, they liked it playing on that table. I could tell.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a bummer that, I mean, how can you ask for a better final than Filler and Josh? But I mean, it wouldn't. I feel it's almost a little bit of a bummer not to see Jason in the finals of it with the run he's been on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess was there any surprises that either of you had?
I was pulling for all four players. Actually, they all played great.
Well, I mean, for me, Mika would be the only one that you would say was what would be the closest one to being a surprise. But is it really? He placed really well. He placed really well at Turning Stone, so he's obviously playing pretty well. And he's placed well there. Mika's still Mika. Mika's still a hell of a player.
I don't want to talk bad about Max Eberle, but Max Eberle in this field just looks really weird to me. Mika drove first round.
I mean, is this a first come, first served, or is this everybody who wants to play can register and the organization pick the 16 that they want? Or
honestly, I have no idea.
How you qualify for that for the Bigfoot, because I'm sure there'll be more than 16 players who wanted to play in it.
I mean, why? I mean, just a couple off the top of my head. I mean,
Sky.
We wouldn't want to see Sky. We wouldn't want to see Max Leschner. We wouldn't want to see. Did Albin Ocean? Albin Ocean wasn't in it. Wouldn't we want to see Albin Ocean in it? I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, all three of those players I feel are more, at least visually sought after than Max Eberle. And I think Max is a great player. I mean, I'm not trying to like dog him and say he's not worthy of playing with these players, but it just seems weird that we haven't seen Max Eberle's name in almost a year and a half, and he gets an opportunity to be in a 16-person tournament with the best players in the world on a 10-foot. It just seems weird to me. I don't know what the story is behind that.
Chris Robinson didn't want to go. Tyler didn't want to go on it. Or Sky didn't want to go on it. All these players. Billy didn't want to go on it. All these American players, they just didn't want to, or they were overlooked. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, Mike, do you have any insight on that?
I don't. I'm not sure how they select the players. Max was kind of a surprise to everybody who looked at that list when you saw who wasn't on the list. I don't know. Was Albin in town already?
Oh man,
I thought he was coming in kind of late just for the 9-ball. But,
yeah, I don't know, maybe.
But
I mean, Aaron made fun of me earlier, but that comment is glorious. Picking a player who thinks a ball is a puck. That's funny. A flat Earth joke.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's funny.
Here's what I wanted to bring up.
That's pretty funny.
Jim, I'd like your opinion on this. I would like Mike's too, but Fedor against Josh in the final. I don't know. It doesn't seem like I've seen them go head to head that often in big events in the last couple of years, which is kind of odd considering how good they are. But if you look at those two players 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, who's going to have more big titles, Fedor or Josh? I think that those two are just like,
Fedor's got a lot of ground to make.
Decade, they're going to be locked in there.
Well, let me ask you this: are you starting it from today going forward, or are you starting it like their entire careers at that point 5 years? Because Josh has a lot on his resume already. That he has a lot. Fedor's got a lot of catching up to do.
Fedor's got a world championship. He's, so I think you'd have to include stuff that they've already won, but he's also a couple of years older. So, Josh is already a couple of years older. So I'm just saying that if you look at two players over the next decade who are likely to meet up a lot in a Final Four or a title match, it's these two guys. I mean, their games are so good and they're so young and they're so dedicated that it's going to be hard to think that anybody's going to keep them from being in the top 2 or 3 every year for the next decade. And I just wonder at the end of that decade, who's going to end up with a stronger resume, if either one. I mean, I'm not, it's just a topic of conversation.
I think they're two very different players. I think Fedor probably has more longevity in his game. I think he's a steadier player. Josh has a level that nobody can get to. When he hits his A+ level, it's a level that there isn't anybody on the planet that
maybe outside of Jason.
No, Jason also can't. Jason will admit it. He says if Josh hits his A+, he'll hit it more often than Jason will hit it. Put it that way. Fedor's got more longevity. I think it depends what you're talking about. I mean, who's going to have the most individual trophies? Fedor. Who's going to have the most big? The real important ones, the most US Opens, the most world titles, the real big events, then you'd probably say Filler. But I think Fedor's a guy that will win tournaments all year round. Fedor wins tournaments all year round. Filler will win the real big important ones. But like you said, I agree. They'll be battling with each other, but it's not just going to be those two. There's going to be, we mentioned Alyosha Yap. He's going to be in there winning titles. There's so many good players that are going to win titles. The bar has been raised the last few years. It happens like once a generation that the bar gets raised and you can either go with it or you can't go with it. We saw it in the Strickland time. The bar was raised. We saw it with Shane. And there was very few players that were able to go with him. You'd probably say Darren Appleton was really outside of Asia. Darren Appleton was the only guy that was really able to go with Shane when Shane hit that level that everyone else had to jump to. And now it's happened again with Jason and now Filler and Fedor. That bar's been raised again. And how many players are able to go with them? We'll find out. We'll find out, I guess. There's a lot of young guys going through. Shane can still get there, just not as often, I think, as he maybe used to, or he just has to go a little bit higher to get there now. And like I said, these guys have a level that it's difficult to see how you can play better a lot of the time now. You see these guys, the way they're performing. It's difficult to see how you can. What would the player look like that is better than these guys.
Yeah.
How good would that guy have to be?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because they're now doing it all the time. I mean, if you look at just the last few months from Fedor, he's in the final of everything. You know, what's the last event he didn't get top 2? You know, he's just an absolute machine. Look at what Jason's done. Jason's decided to practice for the first time in 2 years, and all of a sudden he's the Jason Shaw from 5-6 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
This guy's a monster as well. Filler is filler. You know, he'll turn up at an event and he'll just blow everybody away.
These two guys, they're the Ronnie O'Sullivans of pocket pool, 9-foot pool.
Well, no, well, you would say that Filler is like Filler and Jason are like the Ronnie O'Sullivans.
Yeah.
If they feel like it and they're on, nobody will touch them. But Fedor is more like the Stephen Hendry. You can bet on him to get to every single semi-final of every single tournament. He's just relentless. He never stops. He doesn't sink to a level where he's going to get beat by an average Joe. Whereas maybe Filler and Jason do occasionally sink to a level where there's a bigger group of players that can knock them out of a tournament. If you look at Fedor, just the consistency he plays at, it's only going to be top players playing top pool that are going to stop him winning tournaments. It's as simple as that. Yeah, it's
I do really like that question though.
And I think Fedor wins more, but Filler wins the majors. Filler has more majors, Fedor has more titles. Yeah.
I think it depends on how you rank it right now, because I know that Fedor has big wins. I'm not trying to take it away from him, but like when Filler won the Bigfoot, like the commentator said, I think Jeremy Jones said that this was his 17th major win. Fedor is not in the double digits. There's no way. I don't think he's above 6 or 7 as far as majors, right?
Everybody's got a different idea what a major is.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know those 11 majors.
Yeah, no, and I don't consider the Derby 10-foot as a major because it's 16 invitational. It's an invitational for 16 players. You can't turn around and call that a major. Battle through 8 or 9 matches, and then win.
It depends on how you do.
Major, you know?
It depends on how you determine major, but like the U.S. Open, Joshua Filler had kind of like a softer. As far as the players that are in this, he had the softest draw. But I mean, Filler's playing Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Is there a player in the world that's like hotter than Francisco right now outside of like the top 3 or 4 players? I mean, Francisco's winning everything too, and he's like always there. Darren Appleton, sure. Jason Shaw, sure. Joshua Filler, like. You could go through the U.S. Open and not play. You could play 9 rounds of pool and not play 3 players that tough. I mean, there is something to this. It's 16-person invitation. If you're there for a reason. I mean, it's only 8 spots less than the World Pool Masters. You're going to say the World Pool Masters isn't an invite. In fact, if anything, this field is probably tougher than the Masters because it doesn't have those kind of softballs that they throw in just for fun.
But I don't consider the World Masters. You're also talking about endurance, mentality. I mean, the Bigfoot 10-foot is easier on endurance. Mentally, it's not as destroying as a major tournament. You know, it's you're 3 matches away from the final, right from when you start. You have a look at the draw. Fedor fancies himself against anybody. Filler fancies himself against anyone. Jason, the way he's playing, he fancies. It's races to 11. It's not the same as a U.S. Open. It's not the same as a World Championship.
But everybody's going into that with the same mindset at that point.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just not the same. I'm sorry. It's a 16-man invitational event. It's not a major.
So this is where we come down to the majors, right? Because if we're talking the majors in golf, we know exactly what that is. It's defined. It's 4 events every single year. It is, it's the U.S. Open, it's the British Open, it's the Australian Open, it's the Masters. Tennis, it's the same exact way. There are 4 majors. It's the U.S. Open, it's Wimbledon, it's the French Open, and it's the Australian Open, right? You know exactly what the majors are. And pool, we don't have that. Do we have 4 majors? Do we have 6? Do we have 2? Of course, it's the U.S. Open.
For me,
the World 9 Ball, the World.
For me, the World Championships,
the U.S. Open. Now the British Open.
The Masters, when it becomes based on a ranking, is then a major because then the 16 players or 24 players that are there are the best.
The British Open immediately today. The British Open immediately today. The first year it's going to be the UK
Open will turn out to be one of the majors. The Championship
immediately.
I don't think so. The format isn't good for a major.
The International Open.
Why not?
As much of as more of a major than the Bigfoot 10 ball.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to argue that. I guess
majors.
I guess
one thing about majors is that they've got to be around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, otherwise they're just
I don't agree with. That I definitely don't agree with. I think the moment
established tournaments are established.
The moment the British
players want to win.
The moment the UK Open goes live, it's a major. For my money, it's a major immediately. Maybe it's because I know that Matchroom is going to run it right, but it's going to be just as tough as the US Open, if not tougher.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, but if you're looking about 4 marquee names that you're going to be talking about for years as the majors, then, you know, no new tennis tournament, no matter how big the prize money is, how tough the field is going to be called a major. It's just not. So
that's
it
true.
depends on how you want to establish it and get through those semantics, for one. For two, you know, I disagree with you on the Masters. I've never considered the Whirlpool Masters a major. It's races to 7, and it's an invitation field, 16 or 32 players, race to 7.
It is now.
I would put the International over the World Masters. And
I would too.
I think if you,
I guess I'm not limiting it to like 4 or 5 events.
The best way to judge what would you consider a major is to ask as many of these top players, what's the top 4 events you would most like to win?
It's going to be the top 4 events that they've won, each one of them.
well, it could be, but you know, they're all going to say they want a world championship now. Before, when it was in Qatar, they didn't give a crap about the world championship. Now they probably say, "I want to win a world title."
Yeah.
You know, the 9 ball. So that's in there. They all would like. They don't love to win the US Open. They'd all love to win the US Open, so that's in there. That's a major, regardless of what anyone else thinks. If the players consider that as one of the ones that they want to win before the career's over, then it's a major. So you'd have to ask them in a number of years, in 5 years, is the UK Open one of the top 4 tournaments that you would like to win? If it is, then yeah, okay, you can consider it a major. What are the 4 tournaments that a player would most likely to win?
Let's do it on the podcast.
At the moment, I think at the moment the majority of the players would put the Masters in that top 4, regardless of whether the format is indicative to what we consider as a major. At the moment, the tournaments that they have, I think the players, the majority of them, would name the Masters as one of the top 4 events they would want to win. So, unless you just say there's 2 majors, the US Open and the World Championships, you can also do that. You don't have to have 4. You can just say there's 2 majors. Those are the 2 that stick out above everything else. You know, so you could just say we have 2 majors. Yeah, but then you turn around and say, okay, we have majors in 10 ball as well. We have majors in 8 ball. Well, we don't actually have majors in 8 ball, but you know, yeah. Are you talking about only 9 ball? You know, yeah.
Well, what do you think about that, Mike? Does the pool only have the 2?
Again, it's what's the value of calling something a major? If it's, let's say, who's had significant titles, then, you know, I'd still include the International before I'd include the Masters, because it's a full field, you know, double elimination to a certain point.
It's a tougher event to win.
Good tough equipment, whatever. The Masters races to 7. That's why I was surprised that they even included Derby in the Matchroom ranking thing. I mean, they need 9 ball. A weird buyback thing. You know, at least the races are decent. Used to be races to 7, but you know, so it's got to be, you know, the legitimate events. And I want to see it happen more than once or twice before I include it in one of the majors. But that's different. That to me, I've always referred to things as a major versus a regular tour event. Okay, I would consider the International a major, a Euro Tour or Derby or whatever a tour event. You know, and so there was always 6 or 7 events a year that I would consider a major in determining how I picked, say, Player of the Year. Okay, I don't care if you won. If you were part of the winning Mosconi Cup team, I don't care if you were one of the teammates on the World Cup of Pool. And most years, I didn't care if you won the Whirlpool Masters. Did you win big open events where the prize money was heavy enough so that every top player was there and they were all shooting their brains out to try to win? That, to me, got you in a category where, okay, this is an event that I'm going to consider how you finished in this event. So, it's
based on that,
different things to different people.
Based on those criteria, you'd have to include the Derby then.
I'm sorry?
Based on those criteria, you would have to include the Derby then, because everybody's there.
How
Yeah,
about
it is.
this past year?
The format's always been just a real
and again,
drawback.
it depends on the game. If you ask the one pocket players and the bank pool players, they'll say the derby's a major, 100%.
Yeah,
It's
no, I'm
a
talking
event's
nine.
a major. Yeah.
Maybe should
Talking
be
nine ball.
considered.
And it's on the matchroom thing because it's 9-ball and it's a tournament that all the USA players go to, so it's USA ranking points as well. And they're looking
I
for
got an
9-ball
event
tournaments
here,
that they can get
called the VG10
info from.
2.0, and it seems the tie for third place. There was a fellow named Telfer tied with a fellow named White.
So what we found out is that was definitely not a major.
That's not a major.
Okay. Sorry,
That was borderline a clown show, is what I'm gathering.
Oh,
Hey, wasn't that bad?
Nice.
Wow.
What a
Well, I mean, it
slap
was-
in the face that was.
It was us
on.
on-
I'm trying to give you a break.
Gaza
I'm
boo-boo.
slapping you around.
Yeah, you're not necessarily wrong there, are you, Jim?
But yes, I think majors. I kind of agree with Mike. Is you have to make a split somewhere, and do you do it with just general tour events and the big ones where everybody's at, and you've got to go through. You got to go through 12 rounds of top players and beat the best to get there. You can call that a major. I think the players are the ones that would be the best ones to tell you. What do you want to win, Jason? Pick 4 events that you want to win before you retire. Shane, what's the 4 you want to win before you retire? What's the biggest achievement? He'll say US Open. US Open, okay. It's got to be in there,
Sure.
Jason, what's your biggest achievement? Jason's will be US Open at the moment because he hasn't got a world title, And Fedor hasn't got any of them. Fedor hasn't got anything yet as far as those ones go. So we'll see. Yeah. Joshua's, did they say 17 major titles?
11, I think he said. Right?
11. Yeah. I mean,
not sure.
Are they including European titles? Because you can't really.
Yeah. So they said that there was a
European
17th.
Championships is a bit.
That said that there was a 17th major title. Now, what does that mean? I mean, obviously it means the U.S. Open. Obviously it means he won the world. He won the 9-ball, right? He won the world 9-ball.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it includes those two, but I would assume it includes his. I think he's won 3 Euro tours, maybe 4. He's won a couple European championships. He's won the International.
TLP.
I think once you get to the level of a Filler or a Jason or a Fedor, I think you have to drop your Euro tours as classing them as major.
Not even a question.
I mean, they're big tournaments they're massive. They're massive. Don't get me wrong. They're massively difficult to win, and it's a massive achievement for 95% of the players that have ever won one. But for a Filler,
let's
Fedor,
all get on the same.
Filler, Fedor, Niels, Jason, Darren Appleton, they're.
Okay, so we need to start.
Those are the trophies that are in boxes in their attic. They're not on show for everybody to see when they come into the house.
Correct, but we need to get on the same page for what a major actually means. Are we defining a major as the style that tennis and golf use them as? Because if we're going to decide it as that, then we have 2. I think we can all agree that we have 2.
You could say we only have 2.
Borderline 3 at the International Open, but we have 2 defined. Or are we going to define major as an event that most top players will either be invited to or go to or would want to win? I mean, there's a lot of different definitions for the term major, and how we define it is going to be it's going to be determinant to how many there are. If we decided as a major is a tournament field with, where 50% or more is, not only pros, but good pros, and it's something that the pros want to win. I mean, it's a sought after achievement. Then, I mean, if you define it that way, then the Derby City is one, the Euro Tours are one, the European Championships is one, the International Open definitely is. I mean, it kind of depends on how we decide to. This is an open-ended question.
First of all, a major has to be open for everybody to play in it. So a European Championship is out straight away because
that's not the case in golf.
So it's not a major.
That's not the case in golf. That's not the case in golf. In fact,
it's not the case in golf. The 4 majors, it doesn't matter your nationality.
No, that's not true at all.
It's not your nationality. You can play in them.
Yeah, but it's very hard to get into the Masters in golf. Very hard. They have a significantly smaller field than any of the other majors. It's not easy to get into it.
But it's not based on your nationality. You're not excluded because of your nationality. You're excluded because of your ranking.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying
the European Championships, you're excluded because of your nationality.
Oh,
so you cannot consider that a major.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on how we define it. I'm not saying that's how I'm trying to define it. I'm saying that, like, if we define it as a field as mostly top pros or good pros and blah, 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 it doesn't really matter. I think this conversation probably is running on a little long.
For another podcast, we'll think about that.
I mean, it depends on how we define the word major.
Here's the thing. Major, to me, there's a way of looking at it, and someone mentioned this in the chat earlier. Major is kind of gives a sport historical perspective. And that's why I say you can have the UK this year. I'm not calling it a major next year as far as one of Pool's 4 majors until it's been around for 5 years and there's some historical perspective. If it goes away in year 2, so if Pool wants to have its 4 majors, that's going to take some time to establish from a historic perspective. In the meantime, I always look at things, I tried to explain this before, maybe it's easier to just say, I kind of look at things as like he's won 10 Class A titles and 12 Class B titles. The Euro Tour would be a Class B title. The International would be a Class A title. The Kuwait Open would have been a Class A title, even though it was here a couple of years and then gone. China Open, things like that. Things that were big events in their time that may not have always stuck. So you want to keep them in someone's resume as a significant title. But you don't want to just slap major on anything where the prize money was $50,000 for first or better. So
I think Patrick Neal nails it. The WPA should set a criteria. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Well, no, it
let's
won't be
not put too much on the WPA.
It won't be the WPA that does it. I mean, simply put, Matchroom are going to have all these events, and they're going to give ranking points based on it. The more ranking points you get for winning it, that's your majors. If there's 3 tournaments that give you 1,000 ranking points for winning it, and the rest of the tournaments give you less than that, then they're your 3 major tournaments because they're the ones you want to win. They've probably got a higher prize money. They're probably, that you could go as simple as to say it's a major because it gives me the most ranking points. That's
then like I said, it loses historical perspective for your sport because it changes over the course of years. So it depends on what you want to use the title major for. Is it just to say who won the biggest tournaments of the year? Or does it give a historical perspective to the sport in terms of these are the title that these guys won? And to me, really, the World Championship, US Open are the only ones right now that even come in, that are even in the discussion. Yeah. So I think we've got a ways to go before you can actually start pitching outside of billiards that he's won the 4 majors twice, or he won 3 of the 4 majors, or whatever it is.
He has a full set of the majors. But even the World Championships, it lost for a while its historical importance.
Yeah, but there's still 20 names in a row.
Yes,
right?
but for
US Open, there's still 40 names in a row.
It's also the tournament itself, and it's
some
for me the World Championship still lives in my head, not from it being in Qatar, but from when it was in Cardiff and when it was on Sky Sports and when it was in the arenas when Matchroom had it the first time. That is the historical value that, for me, that the World Championships have. I never ever saw any of the World Championships when it was in Qatar because nobody did. It disappeared. Now, there's people that won it during that time, but
Fedor. Alvin.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, you kind of heard about it. Oh, there's your world champion, and that was it. And there was nothing made of it really. So winning the US Open was worth more than winning the. It was a bigger achievement, or it was considered. Than the World Championship. It should never be. It should never really be.
It's continuation of an event to me. That, like I said, you've got 20 years worth of names. Some years were leaner than others. That's fine, but still, you got 20 years worth of names attached to one title. Yeah. So when you get to that point, if you get to more than 10 consecutive years on something, then it's got some. Now it's something that's aspirational for a lot of these players. I want that title.
You're such a historian. Such a historian.
No, but that's it. When you look down the list of winners. When you look down the list of winners, you start to see legends in there. That's when you have a history of the game.
That's where it comes into play.
Yeah, correct. Then you become something. Then you have that vision of these other sports like the Masters, where you've got all the green jackets hanging with all the legends of the game, Ballesteros and further back. And then you go to like Wimbledon, and you have the placards as you go in through the doors at Wimbledon with all the lists of all the previous winners. That's history, and that's yeah, that's what you want to see. Those are the
Yeah,
two.
maybe we get lucky
You
and
tell me to
maybe we get lucky
somebody
and it's
else's
some.
jacket,
Hmm?
right? You think maybe there should be an event where they have a jacket?
Well, they do the U.S. Open, or well, the International did it. I don't know. The U.S. Open still gives out.
Yeah,
a
the
green
U.S. Open
jacket.
does. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a green jacket. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
thinking- Maybe we get lucky and at some point Matchroom turns the Pool Masters into a Masters Open. It becomes an open tournament, and then you've got
Perhaps.
There's a
you've got
pretty
something
good
that's got
idea
some
there.
legs to it.
or extends the field to 96 or
But
something like that.
they've already listened to you and taken the ranking points away. How much do you want, Panozzo? You give him an inch. You give him an inch.
Yeah. All right. Well, guess what we get to do now? We get to do an ad, and then we get to talk about our last topic, which will be brief. We get to talk about the Manscaped. How fun is that, Jim?
Oh,
hold
joy.
your excitement back.
Sorry?
Hold your excitement back. Hold your excitement back.
I'm
We're looking so happy.
I'm dripping with excitement.
Dripping with excitement. All right. Well,
My hands.
cheer. Rob, you're not going to strip down for this one?
I'm gonna
Rob's
hold
got
Yeah,
his
there you go.
wallet ready. Look, I'm there.
Manscaped.
There he is.
Well,
conditioner and
It's
body
New
wash
Year.
right here.
Exactly. It's New
You could
Year, new
drop
me
these
with the global
containers
leaders and
from the
below the
Empire
waist
State
grooming.
Building, and they wouldn't
Oh,
even dent.
Jesus. Probably, actually, they're pretty tough. This year, take your package to the next level with a premium package 4.0 and brand new ultra premium body wash. You should have that over there. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is designed to trim hair on loose skin. Wow, that's great. That's a great line.
Loose skin.
Wow, that is a great line right there. All right. Man,
Listen to it hum.
the advanced skin safe
Listen
technology
to that
reduces
baby
cuts and
hum.
nicks on your delicate nuts. It also comes equipped with a 4,000K LED spotlight that will shine a light to the promised land 2022 looks to be. Exactly. A grooming routine isn't complete without applying Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver before showing off your 2022 self. These unique formulations take care of the smelliest parts of your body and are a big boost to your confidence in the new year. Jim, how about that?
I'm pretty confident. Feeling
My
confident.
confidence could use a boost right now.
I could do with a bit of crop revival down there.
All right. Well, you did just have a kid, so kick discomfort and poor hygiene to the curb this year and use the best tools for the job. Whether your resolution is to work out more or travel to new places, be sure to travel to manscaped.com for our exclusive offer of 20% off plus free shipping with the code QItUpPod. Cheers to new balls in 2022.
How about a
Once again.
4.0 drone crop duster?
The crop duster. I tell you what, you don't listen. You don't get this kind of comedy on the on. You know, this is top 7 pool influencer kind of.
This is it right here.
Stuff you're getting here.
This isn't even pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not charging you $4.99 a month for this. This is
You don't get this from outside the top 7 most influential.
Although I'm just saying, Jim did start an OnlyFans channel where he uses the Lawnmower 4.0, and you can watch it yourself for only $2.99 a month. Jim, you want to give the link for that? He says no. All right. Well, all right. Let's move on to the last topic of the day, which is going to be the banks. It just finished up, and it is the first time in history. It's an all-European final, and it's the first time there's a European champion. Jim, wave that beautiful blue starry flag.
I think it was. I don't know if we were live when
Johan
we
and
said
Philip.
it. It's changing of the guard, you know, and it's these guys again just raising the bar, and you've got players. I mean, it's only one event. I mean, let's not get carried away. It doesn't mean to say that these guys are the best bankers in the world, you know. But you know, there's players that are that have dedicated themselves to being bank specialists, and you've got also one pocket specialists.
Yeah.
And these guys are not considered as a specialist. It just seems they can just play any game they want to. Yeah. It doesn't matter what game you put in front of them. They'll figure out a way to play it and win it. it almost makes a little bit of a mockery of becoming a specialist at anything, because these guys just can do anything they want on a pool table.
Well, I think banking has enough place in regular pool that you can be a really good banker and only have to change a few things to really learn the game of banks and the defense and stuff like that. When one pocket falls,
I always thought bank pool was just going for every single bank you can. But if you watch the way Fedor played,
well, that's what I'm saying. You need to learn the defense.
He was playing safe and tactical.
That's what I'm saying.
And I mean, you don't to just pick that up so quickly and just, you know.
If you bank the ball super strong, it's a lot easier to learn how to play the tactical side of the game.
Come on, they can all hit good banks.
That's my point, right?
So you've got to be the tactical side of it. You've got to pick up.
Don't take away what Jason and Fedor can do on a bank shot either. Those two are special. They bank the ball super good. All you got to do is learn. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to learn the tactical side of banks than it is to learn how to bank a ball. I promise you that.
But you've got to go through a massive field like they did doing it, you know. And
I'm not the one taking away from it.
I mean, it's again, Fedor just gets to the back end of events, you know. And Jason, he's run a straight pool. He's won the turning stone. He's run a new record straight pool. He's got to the semis of the 10 ball, Bigfoot, and now it's a bank pool, and he's getting to the finals. You know, Fedor semi-final turning stone. He gets to the final. It's just you're putting these guys into events, and you just know they're going to be at the back end of it every single time, and it doesn't matter what the game is.
Well, the one pocket will be the final frontier. I mean, if the Europeans start beating us at one pocket, then we're in a lot of trouble in America.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I mean, bet against Fedor. You know, Filler plays a very gung ho kind of one pocket game.
He does, but he plays a very gung ho kind of everything in a game.
Yeah, okay, but one pocket is one of the ones where you have to reel it in a little bit. I think Fedor. Yeah. But I mean, yes, Filler. I mean. I don't know. So, I mean, you've still got to be talking about the Tony Cho and stuff like that. I've got to be in there towards the end as well. But don't be surprised. I'd be surprised if Jason gets that far one pocket. I don't know which one pocket Jason plays, but I would certainly expect Fedor and Filler to be in the mix when you're getting down to the last 10, 12 players. Tony Cho will be in there, Chip. You know,
I think that's what makes Fedor the favorite for master of the table at this point. I think he'll go deeper in one pocket, and having already won the banks, then it's gonna, it will be his to lose.
Yeah,
it's hard to imagine that he isn't going to be placing top, let's say 5 or 10 in the 9 ball.
Right. Well, has anybody ever reached 2 finals and not got master of the table? I wonder if that's ever happened. I know there was a
finals. I don't think so.
No, they never reached 2 finals. But last year, Billy won the banks and got 3rd place he won the one pocket and got 3rd place in the banks and did not win it.
He got pipped by Dennis at the end, didn't he?
Yeah. Dennis, yes, in the 9 ball.
I think there was only one. Billy needed to get 1 round further in the 9 ball, I think, or something like
that.
Yeah, something like that. Very, very, very close to that. I think he was just a few points behind Dennis, and Dennis made 7th place or something like that. And I think Billy had like 27th or something like that. I mean, I'm just working off memory from 2 years ago, but it was Billy's to lose going into the 9 ball, and he did not have his best results. So
you've got to.
That's not the
it's between.
That's not the finals of 2, but it's basically is the finals of 2. I mean, 1st and 3rd. I mean,
you got to feel like it's between those 3, Filler, Shaw, and Fedor for the master of the table. I mean, Filler's a little bit behind just now. He's going to have to place well in both of the last 2. Jason,
I don't know. I think Tony.
I wouldn't expect. You never know with Jason. I wouldn't expect him one pocket.
I'm saying, don't count out Tony Choen. Don't you dare count out Tony Choen.
I mean, Tony can get there. Tony can get there on the 9 ball. But
third place in banks. Third place in banks. I
don't fancy him placing great in the 9 ball. I mean, he can get there.
I'm telling you, don't count out Tony.
Tony plays. Anybody out? I'm picking one of those 3. I'm picking one of those 3 to win it, and Fedor's a favorite at the moment, I think.
Yeah, you're right about
tied it up.
You're right about Tony. I mean, if he finishes high in the one pocket and he finishes in the banks, he doesn't have to go very far in 9 ball to have a really good shot at it. But the cool thing about this, to me, with Fedor for sure, is there's a chance now that you could see a player win all 3 divisions. Fedor could win 3 divisions. It's never happened before. There were twice once Shane won 2 divisions and finished second in the other. He's the only one that's made the final of all 3 divisions in the same year. But tonight I look at now and think Fedor, he's probably the one guy in that field right now who's got a shot at doing that. I don't think Filler can, because Filler's not going to win, Banks.
I don't think Fedor has a chance either.
What's that?
I mean, I don't think Fedor has a prayer of that. I mean, I'm not trying to take zero chance. I don't see it. I mean, I would love to eat my words, but I don't think he has a prayer of it.
Saying Fedor's got zero chance, I'd say Fedor's got more chance of winning the 1 pocket than Tony Chohan has of winning the 9 ball.
I don't agree with that at all.
Oh,
yeah,
everybody's in there to win the 9 ball.
Dude, Tony Chohan, dude, I'm telling you, Tony Chohan just finished Tony Chohan finished top 10 last year 2 years ago. They didn't have it last year. He finished top 10 in the 9 ball last year. There's about
6 or 7. There's about 6 or 7 1 pocket specialists. There's about 60 9 ball specialists.
I'm just saying, Tony Chohan is not. I mean, I don't think you realize how good Tony Chohan plays. He's not a 1 pocket specialist.
I know Tony's good, but he's. Like I said, the bar is way up here now when it comes to like 9 ball, and you
gotta say Shaw, Filler, Fedor.
He plays top. The last time he plays top 10, he plays top 10. The last time, I mean, I'm just saying, he plays top 10.
Winning it, is it? If Fedor places top 10 in the 1 pocket, he's going to win the all round because he's going to get pretty deep in the 9 ball.
Well, because of the podcast, I didn't see if Mr. Reyes won his 1 pocket match or not. I didn't get to watch the end of it, so
no idea. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
but I mean, listen. There's a few guys that are in there. It's going to be exciting. The 9 ball's wide open. I mean, you mentioned Sanchez Ruiz earlier on, Lechner. There's a lot of players that are just sitting around waiting for that 9 ball because that's the one.
The 9 ball field is deeper this year than it has been the last 3 or 4 times they've had. A lot more Europeans over here who are the top flight Europeans playing 9 ball because of the points.
And they're fresh as well. There's going to be players in there that are a bit jaded.
Easy win for
Fedor's played a lot. Fedor's played a lot of matches. I mean, he's a young kid, but he's played a lot of matches. He's been out there playing a lot. There's guys that are in there that are fresh, that are just there for that one tournament. Albin, I mean, you're not going to tell me Albin can't win the 9 ball, I mean,
no, of course not. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's round out the podcast here. Everybody give 1 player that they think is going to win the all around. Rob, you want to go first?
Wow, this is tough.
Mike, you want to go first?
I like Filler.
Filler. All right. Mike, what do you think?
I like Fedor.
Jim?
Fedor.
Tony Chohan, baby, right here. Just to spite you.
He doesn't spite me at all. I'll be more than happy for Tony to win it. You make it sound like I don't like the man. I mean,
I hope no. You're just saying he has 0 chance of playing good. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
I didn't say he had 0 chance. I said he had less chance of winning the 9 ball than Fedor has of winning the 1 pocket.
Agreed.
No, I don't. I do not agree.
You don't have to agree with me.
I don't have to agree. I don't have to agree, and I won't. I won't. All right. So
never again. Then, if I have to agree with you, just say me and Jim both think.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, Jesus. Back to this, Jim. All right. Well, I guess we can close out the podcast there. Anything else anybody has to say?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good luck.
Good? All right. Thanks, everybody, again for tuning in.
Roll in and be nice and shiny.
And if not, there's crop preserver for that. It'll help. Manscaped.com.
Good plug.
Promotion code Cue It Up Pod. Get it. Support the show. All right. Bye, everyone.